It is now 4 p.m. We're going to call the order of the Board of Water Commissioners for the town of Kingston. Most of us assigned the bills, are still waiting on Commissioner Pasca. So we'll hold off on approving the minutes. We can do the minutes now.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 9th.
All right, second and passed 2-0 abstention. My first appointment is Mr. Lincoln.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm the Bible Lance on the chair. This is Bud Loring.
Lincoln.
These guys. See you again.
Nice to see you guys. I think we left it last time with we had more work to do based on your comments and the review engineer's comments. I think we've dropped that off. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it.
Yes, I did. I reviewed it. Already had a chance to review it.
Yeah.
She had some comments. I have some comments. I think you said you called earlier today trying to be a little prepared. I was busy in meetings.
There's not much we could do. Yeah, in a couple of days anyways, but that's for you guys if you wanted to look at it. So the change, other than some of the small details, the biggest one was to, this is, Marion, was the water main. You can kind of follow it here. There's gates here, which kind of connect it coming in from top of beach, but it continues around. That's the town's land. So we continue around here. And we'll come back here and tap into that line again. So the whole site is looped. And I think, pretty sure they upgraded it to 12-inch, like you requested, and then, I'm sure that there are some other comments. We'll modify it.
All right. A couple of the after reviewing this latest set of plans that I had was I was just trying to depict the hydrants on there. I noticed over by the amenities building there, it says proposed hydrant typical with an arrow pointing out. And upon close review with Kristen, we were able to spot out where some are kind of concealed and hidden. I think there's one.
There's one right here. It's just hard to see the
They're just not
symbol.
labeled, so if you're trying to
I
lines
see.
on top of
And
them.
this is a big drawing, so
Yeah.
you can't see it on this. Right.
Yeah, it's hard to really search for them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on the next page, it was like an island. We're just trying to really protect the hydrant locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to send me an email? I'm sure there are other comments too.
Yeah.
Or do you want me to
You
write
can mark
them
up.
down?
You can mark off on your plans right
Okay.
there. You go back. Another question here. There's no fire protection depicted going to the amenities building. I don't know if that's required for that
It would be
building, but there's no fire line depicted in there. The amenities building.
assembly space, so there's a chance. I have no idea what the town is going to do, but there is a backdoor conversation going on with this parcel here. So if that were to occur, I don't know if it will, this is going to move here.
Okay.
But for now, this is where it stays. So, for all that good stuff.
You guys think we're purchasing this or?
Yes, yeah. I mean, honestly, which we've kind of communicated to the town. There's nobody that can get to this parcel anymore because these are private roads.
Isn't Thomas Street a public way?
It is, but Thomas Street ends here, so you can't get to it from there. And you can't get to it from here. The only way you can get to it is walking through the wells. So, originally you could get to it when I was proposing going all the way down, but then the wetlands crossing, which got like once we really looked at it, I said I just don't.
Is this wooded now too?
I'm sorry.
What's the?
Oh, so yeah, the whole site is like really what it actually surprises people because there's a lot of topo out there. So there'll be some flattening and filling the ravines, but it's a fairly balanced site as far as soil goes. But there is up and down. So that being said, this, all of this along here stays wooded, except for this section right here.
The amenities building is gonna be used for.
Typically, it's the gym. I'll put the leasing office in there sometimes. Maybe a little maintenance office. The game room, a lot of times, pool tables, stuff like that. We try and keep them out of the buildings.
I just wondered when you say amenities and you start talking about gym, you just wondering whether or not the 1-inch domestic is sufficient for what you see as the
Oh,
long-term use. Yeah.
right.
Showers, kitchen.
Shower, yeah.
everything we have.
Yeah, we don't typically put showers in there, but we will do a kitchen. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a kitchenette. You know, we don't put a range in,
Yeah.
for instance,
Yeah.
but it's more for if somebody wants to have a party or something, or watch a football game. So, yeah. Fire
This is separate,
service.
yes.
Yeah,
And we have the
Sprinkler
one
system.
line going
Yeah.
to the
yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't see it. Think about it, so I just questioned that. Also, I didn't see anything in there for proposed chlorination tabs for pressure testing, the whips for that, and how those will be handled, terminated once means they're installed. It's gonna be all, attempts to be all done in one swoop or phase, or how that's gonna be. Is that the frost protection if it runs into cold seasons for that? Another concern that I had was the cross tie that you have going between the two buildings by the amenities building. So here, I don't know if I was talking to Chris. I don't know if that's really necessary. I think that's going to have a negative impact on the circulation of the loop.
You mean you just want the whole loop?
Yeah, without that cross tie, it's going to give you that flow that you want around through that pipe. Otherwise, you're going to have quite a bit of flow that's going to come out and go into path least resistance and get into the water quality issues on that building. So. Where gates would be, gates are typically every 500 feet, or 1,000 feet, I'm sorry, every 1,000 feet is the mainline gate. So I don't know what the run on this pipe is, when you look at it, do your pressure testing disinfectant.
This is stuff we can do now, which is helpful, but as we get closer to construction, hopefully, that'll be our MEPs that'll probably much more detailed than the civils.
Other was the easements for the water, how that's going to be recorded, in coordination with our rules and regulations, easements and accordance of that.
We'll work with Jay Cattleman, I think, town council, and which is what we do on all developments.
And along with that, you say this is going to be private, so I would think the town responsibility will stop at the tap these gates and decide the town is responsible for anything within the confines of it.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's the way it go. For instance, when I'm doing a 44 house development in Easton right now, and the town it's all private, but the town we granted an easement to the town of Easton. But the town doesn't want anybody else touching their lines, so they end up doing it. So I don't know, maybe it's different from town to town, I don't know.
So I think we fall under the similar conditions of the plazas that we have, like the shopping plazas, those loop water mains, we don't touch anything in there if there's a failure, if there's a leak or anything, maybe in an emergency, you may go ahead and shut something off to a building.
Okay,
Or if there's a failure or breach in a pipe, we're not going to repair it.
okay.
If there's an HOA, I think there's mention of an HOA or association.
Well, here it would be, it's a little bit easier with a multifamily like this, because it's one LLC that runs and operates the whole thing. So,
And one question I had, you mentioned the first part of this is a public way and then it becomes private?
no, it's all private.
It's all private.
Yeah,
This is a separately owned private property.
That's it.
Correct.
easement that I've got from Rebecca. About. And then this would also be an easement.
So this is essentially landlocked when you front on a public way.
Exactly.
How does that work out? Now, if you build up with this scale that's on.
Yes, that's
landlocked.
40B and zoning and stuff like that.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious, it has nothing to do with, yeah, I'm just curious, I know.
Apartments are a little different, you know, multifamily, but multifamily, you could do, I've done it before, actually. Actually, it was another project I did in Easton where I think we had 40 feet off the main road and I did a 28 unit housing development but it was only 40 feet of frontage on the whole thing. That was a 40B.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the current concern I have is that if you've got an easement from a private entity, you wanna make sure that that easement is transferred so that if anything happens to the water main, that, you know, we can go in and immediately shut it off if we have to. So, yeah, looks like there's more than one entity in the easement that needs to make sure that the clarification is there.
It'd be town council again, I think, but I get your point.
But, you know,
Yeah.
you know, it's your attorney dealing with town council, or you dealing
Right.
with town council. I just wanna make sure that we close that loop.
Yep. Yeah, because there's two easements, like you said. So.
Yeah, it's just accessing. If you get in there, shut something up, there's a problem in the building. If you have access.
Yeah.
And I know it's been mentioned as apartments, is there any potential to occur in condos?
Mass housing wouldn't allow it, you know, because it's in a regulatory agreement which gets signed between the LLC and mass housing. Like you have to do that on every single project, and it's, you know, it's like 50 pages. But I've never seen anybody do that. Good question, because we considered that a million years ago, and apartments were not a great thing, but now it's completely reversed. You know, nobody can afford condos.
It should be noted that should that occur somewhere in the future, that requires an individual meter each condo unit. So as you're moving forward, understand that there's a substantial investment if in fact you go that direction,
Right.
with a lot of plumbing and a lot of technicality in order to be able to accomplish that with this size building.
Yeah.
It's not just individual meter, it's individual curb stop. So
Yep.
if one defaults or it's vacant, you have to really isolate, shut it off.
Yeah, I don't see, like, even the one they built over there at the mall. I mean, I guess these things will be, I think the regulatory, that's not a 40B, but my regulatory rating is perpetual, so.
And I see this depicted as a 6-inch domestic service. I don't know, Chris, maybe you can have a little insight that size appropriately or not. That's a substantial domestic service from each of the buildings.
Yeah, I didn't look at, I don't know that they have any like real water demand information in there, but yeah, that would be something to look at. As you start getting further into this.
Appropriate sizing.
Yeah, my question was more like for the meter, what was the plan for metering for each of the buildings, you know, doing like we were just saying, is it gonna be 1 meter?
It is a master meter,
okay.
and then we, you know, the demons and things like that, so we'll sub-meter it to the apartments after that, but it's electronic.
Yeah, so then just making sure that the meter's sized appropriately to capture
Yeah.
High
the
flow, low
range
flow.
of flows, yeah.
And then just as the fee schedule that will go along with the taps and services of those sizes, just the rules and regulations, you can sub-custom to that.
Yep.
What that would be. The big thing is, you know, the pressure test, chlorination, disinfection plan that you have, where whips will be, how you're gonna break it up, is it gonna be 1 phase, 2 phases, 3 phases, or how it's gonna be done. And what points, suitable points to flush out of, whether it's adding a hydrant someplace that you weren't planning on to break it up, you know, gating the hydrant to break things up to a flush. Appropriately, I don't know if the fire department's gonna require a hydrant on that back access side there. On the back building, since the water main's gonna be right there, I don't know if you did 2 phases, you know, half and half in the main, or 3 phases of water main installation, pressure test and disinfection. You need a point to be able to flush out, you know, which side you start from.
I think they'll confirm that, though. I'm pretty sure they brought a set of plans with our.
Yeah, I gave Chris my comments. I had a couple that regarding coordinating the planting plan with where utilities are. So there's 2 spots where trees were shown going over. One of them was the water main, another one was the service to the amenities building.
Yeah.
So I pointed those out in the letter given tree.
You don't want it either.
No.
No.
Yeah.
You have to dig up the tree, we don't.
Right. But I will say landscape, as you know, the landscaping plans are, it's a pretty
Yeah.
picture, and then things
Yeah.
change when you get in the field, so. Okay,
But they made a lot of adjustments to the sewers now appropriately deep, so the water will be able to cross over the sewers instead of the other way around. So that was good, and they added some hydrants. There was the other comments that I had were addressed with this.
okay. Megan will be happy.
Yeah, progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's good. Diligent. Okay,
Yeah, and then, will there be laundry facilities in each of the apartments?
yes, yep. Everyone's got a stacked unit.
Okay.
We have started using, I don't know if it probably doesn't make any difference, but it's the combined units.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
fat
Yeah,
less.
the European model.
Yeah, now they used to be, everybody complained about the dry cycle, but they've, just like the air source heat pumps, the technology keeps getting better and better and better. So we're doing something in Providence now, and people are fine with it.
Size wise, they're smaller, I think.
They're a hair smaller, but
Yeah.
some of the stacked units are kind of small anyways. I think they're a little smaller than the side by sides. But they're so much more efficient, when they continue to use the water, in the cycle. So I'd be curious
Yeah.
to see if the water usage is any less. I don't know. Hadn't thought about it until now. Where everybody's fighting with water and sewer capacity and everything, every
Just
town.
one appliance thing too would be a nice space too.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can put a shelf up above, you can put cabinetry up there, it works out great in smaller units, so. Yeah,
But as of now, those are the concerns that vacuum and person came up with.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
No.
Well, thank you.
No, I have.
so you got
Yeah, full
one
set.
idea, so, okay.
Thank you, Kristen. Looks like you're up here. You want to hang out and see all the sausages made for free?
Good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so update about the new well project. The good news is that our services did receive the well screen, the 50 slot well screen that we talked about having ordered. That's in, it's after a shot. Chris worked with them to make some additional site improvements. They originally gave him some instructions on this to be able to get in there. Then they came back out and said, oh, we really need it to be a little bit less steep for the rig. So he went back out last week, brought in more material to level things off, make it a little bit less steep so they'd be able to get in their equipment. So that part's been done. So now that the plan is that Mars should be able to mobilize back, or they left their drill rig out there, so they technically are still mobilized, but have actual crews be out on site next week. Kleinfeld is going to reach out to them this week to just confirm which day, recognizing that it's the holiday. So that's great. So since they have that screen, they're staying on track for the revised schedule that they gave us. It's definitely worth, for the extra flow, getting that revised different screen. Really includes, no, it includes really much time at all. Couple weeks. Yeah. Meanwhile, they did do their environmental, soil environmentals. Didn't see anything alarming, no issues, right? We wouldn't expect any, but doing the due diligence on that. And they also did their geotechnical analysis. Didn't show any surprises. So it's sanded gravel, and it didn't indicate that the conditions are too sandy. Sometimes when you have really nice sand, it's more subject to liquefaction from the shaking. It gets soupy. Their analysis doesn't show that. So that's promising. And it also didn't show any potential layers or heat that would, be an unsuitable condition for a traditional foundation. They can still build on those kind of materials. It just requires extra islands and support type stuff. So at least for their preliminary analysis, looks like a traditional type building type foundation for a pump station well will be suitable at this site. So that was also good news.
Do we have one of our models that we would follow? Would it be
For
Capricorn or?
pump station, not really, because of the restroom requirement. So that's, you can't really just take something and say, here, use this. There are factors, we were talking with them earlier today about some of the key points that we want incorporated into this facility. In addition to being able to house the well, the vertical turbine pump, and the piping, it needs to have space for hydroxide and sodium hypochlorite, and want those in a separate room because they are corrosive, and it helps to preserve the pump and all the electrical components if they're not exposed to the chemicals. Even though the chemicals are covered and vented outside, it's just inevitable that the gases seep out, and you won't get as long life if you don't have those in a separate room. So the thought is to have those in a separate room, then it'll need the restroom. So we'll see what the configuration is. Chris also expressed the desire that the entrance doors are on the gable ends, so you don't have snow coming off the roof right onto walkways where people are. So it makes sense. And then some other little things that we want them to keep in mind, since the hypochlorite gets delivered in drums, the ideal thing is to have that get pushed right in at grade level and then have a containment area that has grading, similar to what it was done at the treatment plants.
Yeah.
So you don't have any ramps to deal with, and so we gave them some food for thought to some of those items. And now they'll be able to kind of.
Can you guys use a microphone?
Yeah, we are.
Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
Is it muted or you can't hear us at all?
It's quite quiet in the room. I've got noise canceling headphones on, but it's on your end. She's loud as hell to me.
Okay. We have a separate little mic here that we're using, but it's up all the way. I don't know. So. The obviously can hear us a little bit just muted, so I think it might just be.
It's up all the way.
Yeah, it might be our volume, but I don't know if the mic has any sensitivity, but we'll try to speak up a bit.
Yeah, so they have those thoughts to start now coming up with some draft conceptual floor plans. So that'll be the next step. So while they're doing the pump test, they can also start thinking about the building layout now. So that the pump test work will happen over the course of the next month or so. So they'll be out to actually install the 8-inch test well starting next week. And looks like the actual pump test would happen the first week in February or so. And
How long does it take? How long does it test?
it's only like a week-long test. And it'll take a little time just to get the data crunched.
Sure.
And they'll be doing another round of lab samples. Like that. So
Okay.
That's all staying on track. And we have not yet seen the SRF intended use plan. So in the summertime, if you remember, put in a pre-application for, it's called a project evaluation form for this project to get construction phase funding. And DEP has not yet released what their intended use plan is for what projects get funded. And that should be coming out really any day.
In the past, have water projects did well?
Well, they have specific funding for water projects. There's still a lot of projects looking for PFAS treatment that will score higher. So it just depends on how much money they have and then how many of those projects get submitted. So whether or not a project like this will get funded or not.
Those regional based or across the state?
It's across the state. Okay, any questions about the well?
Sounds good.
Good news, actually.
Yes, yeah.
Moving along, making good progress. Chris, you're up.
All right, I received the updated proposed final copy of the ACO and the DEP. Council has reviewed that. Most of the recommendations that council recommended were done. There was a couple of the deviate from. It's pretty much the standard. So that's in your packets for review and the next step. So they conducted an interview for the application for the vacant pump operator position yesterday.
Chris, hold on just one
Yep.
second. How long does this have to be reviewed for? Because doesn't it have to be turned in at some point?
I can check.
Town council mentioned discussing this with the TA and the select board, but they weren't part of this discussion
No.
to begin with, so I don't understand why.
No, it's for discussion and acceptance with the board here.
But,
I'll follow up with Matt Salem
okay,
with the
Do
town
we
council.
have it to the next meeting to vote on it, so we can do it?
I don't think so. That's
When
why
we
I'm
kind of
very
saw it before,
confused.
we kind of,
Yeah, we have,
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the changes.
yeah. I don't think we have much choice. Really in the,
You've seen the final draft?
Yes, yeah, they had addressed the comments that we had when we had the meeting with them to talk about, what items of work were going to be required and what the deadlines were. They made all of those technical changes.
Which are more important.
Yeah, really, it was just more the lawyers talking about the contractual terms that was the last piece.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I can reach out with council and confer with them. I assume that the deadline, since they were work that DEP council and town council were working out details and the final logistics. The clock is done, and then put on pause.
I was planning to take them and looking over a little more closely.
That's
today, but
what I was gonna
if we
do,
need
and I was
to,
hoping next meeting we could,
I'll follow up with council, if it's becomes an issue.
We can come here and sign.
We could make arrangements to.
We'll do it to
you
vote
stop
on
by
the
and
meeting,
sign
right?
again.
Isn't we looking for a vote for the meeting on this? Is that what we're only assignment?
I don't think so. I think we're just
No.
waiting for a signature.
yeah.
Signatures? Okay, so I can jump in
Yeah.
and sign it if it's the case. So, okay.
So, any other discussion or comment on that?
All right, so we'll just wait. Leave it.
Yeah, I'll follow with council on that. I didn't see that need to be any formal action taken on that, so it's in a form of the vote.
My concern is as we move forward with that, what type of financial commitments are we making on behalf of the town? And how do we express and get that information out to the general public if in fact the amount of money are not minimal? And rather than being minimal, there are major expenses that we have to incur. Whether it's new meters in a phased fashion or whatever else it may be. We've got a lot of thoughts that have to go into this as well as we move forward with the new well. I mean, we've got, millions of dollars that we're gonna have to ask town approval for to commit to doing the commitment with DEP as well as moving forward with building a well.
Sure.
And until we can put some numbers to it, we're just talking pie in the sky. And that's not fair to the townspeople, it's not fair to town government, we need to start to put sound, solid numbers to each of these.
I would love to see like a timeline too, and just look at what the requirements are. So we can kind of maybe as we go through from month to month here, see what's the next, big thing we have to make sure we try to address and keep ahead of things too.
Yes, and that was one of the things we took into consideration. We went over each of the items with DEP. And I think under a lot of Kristen's advice, we kind of push things out on a better timeline. It gives us time to be financially stable and be able to approach town meeting if need be. And it's my understanding, Kristen could clarify with me, that DEP's position is as long as we are actively working on things and need extensions because of financial reasons, they're willing to work with us and extend things. It's not like this needs to be done. If you don't have the means to support that request,
What kind of time frame would you guys need to put something together?
it's all the timelines in the past.
Yeah, I need something graphic. I mean, to look through that's
Like a
just like a calendar.
one-page thing that's.
Yeah, just to kind of show where things are at.
Yeah.
Paragraph 7 is here, that sort of stuff. It just because my mind glazes over when I start reading text.
Because the other thing we need to do is get this information to the finance committee earlier rather than later. We don't want to be sitting here, a month before town meeting with a finance committee that has no idea that we're talking about $1 or $10 or $1 million. We need to keep them apprised. We need to keep the Board of Selectmen apprised of where we are and what the numbers are, just so that we're not surprising people.
What are our initial plans for financing? Are we doing it in-house? Are we doing a bond issue, whatever, so stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta get that ahead of the game
Yeah.
so we know where we're
We
at.
need to know where whether or not there's any state funding that reduces the bonding capability, the requirement. All that needs to sort of be pulled together into a plan that, we can present to, the world of the town of Kingston.
Work on that. Anything else on that? So I recommend that you guys take that last copy there for review, and I'll follow the council and keep you apprised of that the timeline. You guys just something.
Yeah, so just outline sort of thing. Just
like I said, we conducted an interview for an applicant for the position of pump operator. Interviewed very well. He currently possesses a T1 license, is ready to sit for his T2 license. He possesses a D1 license and is willing to get involved in classes for D2 license. Waiting to sit for his test for his hoisting license for the backhoe. He had some other credentials that really pertain to us, but they were good to have some OSHA certifications and stuff.
a local guy, or where's he from?
Raynham.
Raynham, sorry, thank you.
Okay, so
Yeah, so he's from Raynham.
Why is he available?
He worked in a different field.
Okay.
He decided to get out of that field of work. He's self-driven. He took it upon himself to get involved in classes. He got the classes on his own, obtained the license on his own to be prepared to get into the water industry. So I think he'd be a great member of the team here. And with that being said, I'd like to offer him the position of pump operator. I was talking to HR today. If possible, I think it'd be fair to bring him into step 2, where he's been self-driven. He's put himself through those classes, obtained those licenses.
So we're not paying
On
for
his
those
own.
classes?
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct. He's walking in the door, pretty much turnkey, ready to go. Saved us a
What's
lot
his
of
name?
time. BO.
Has lost this.
okay.
Just a question.
Sure.
Will he be at or below
Remember, I thought we
any of
were
the other
doing something.
employees we currently have
As far as
pay grades concerned?
I'll give you 5 below.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, Yeah, I think with the exception of, Evan, because Evan came in, he got licensed through us, he's taking his test tomorrow, or Friday and Tuesday.
I don't know. I think Friday, I don't know.
Yeah, he's doing, I know he's doing one Tuesday. So he'll be right in line with Evan. Evan is a repairman now. Once he gets licensed, he'll move up to pump operator, but his step will go with him, so they might be neck and neck or.
I'm glad he qualifies for pump operator was when we're hiring him, because like you said, we got all these classes and knowledge that he's got when he steps in the office, so that's good.
Yeah, and I think it's great, it'd be his first, job in the water industry. So I think it's great that he can get educated and, learn the town, and I think he'd be a great asset to the town. So that's my recommendation to the board, that additional offer of employment upon successful passing of the necessary formalities with HR and bring him in as the grade 5, step 2.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Do you want a motion on that?
No, you don't need one because it's actually not a vote of the board. It's just, this is kind of like an FYI for you. And if you're feel good about the interview and what Chris presented, then that's a blessing that we can pass it on to.
So they do the hiring.
Yeah.
So I'll continue that process tomorrow with HR, and the necessary channels for that. Moving along here with the recent snow events, the water department has worked collaborative with the highway department, street trees and parks with snow removal. In their efforts, there were no issues. It was all hands on deck with the guys out with our trucks and equipment. Things went well. They took care of the snow removal of our sites without any issues. So, successful storm.
Just a question.
Sure.
We use our 4-wheel drive. Do we use the dump truck as well?
Yes.
Is there any thought about putting a sander on that to, one, facilitate a little bit more access in and around, our well sites, salt, sand, whatever might. Has it ever been discussed?
It's never been a consideration because we can't use salt for well sites, and it's too abusive on the trucks. And we have one dump truck that we need to be reliable. It's one thing to go and plow, but with the other trucks, but it's like our machine, it sits inside. We used to have a plow route.
Yeah.
Once I had the opportunity, I said no more. We have one backhoe. If we need that backhoe in a water emergency, that machine has to be, ready to go and not damaged from snow removal. So, it's never been an option or a thought for us. It's just to load that truck up with a sander and then need that truck and have to pluck that sander out. It's just, it's an aggravation, and the material will be in it that we can't have down at the well site. Can't have calcium and salt leaching off the truck while it's parked at a well site while we're using. So, no, it's unfortunately, I don't think that's a viable option used for our truck. I wouldn't recommend it. But this time of year, things kind of slow down substantially for us on the street. The roads are closed except for emergencies, so it gives us a good opportunity to do a lot of interior building maintenance, routine maintenance on the pumps and painting and things like that inside. So the guys have been busy doing that along with any other service calls we need and the like. Right now, we're getting ready to do our quarterly reads at the end of the month. So radio reads and annual reads. So it's good now that the guys are learning the routes and being proficient at it. So
Is mine now a radio read?
yes.
Yes.
Where are we at in terms of those pilot meters, things like that?
Weird. So the pilot meters have been installed. We're messing around with the software, and the technology with those, which is quite interesting. The algorithms that the computer will generate and build, and very interested to see how that works. And right now we have another training class with it once they get the meters in. Stacy's been working collectively with Laurie on the migration process on how to get things to read and mess around and get things in the units to see how that process works with the billing. So
I'd love to see how the usage for a quarter or so compares to previous bills. See how close they are, if there's under readings before, over reading before, whatever it would be. I can see that numbers.
yeah, but it's very interesting that the meters, the smart technology on the, it'll identify and set building of your habits, and the algorithms that build will depict them, whether there's a toilet flush, a shower, a hand wash, whatever, and it'll identify it right on the screen
Now
as
you're
to
kind of
what it
creeping
is.
me out. That's a little too much info.
We can actually see how long people are taking showers.
Okay, let's keep that. Yeah, all
But
right.
if that's what the computer identifies it as, whether that is what it is or not, I mean, they can be throwing-
And whether anybody's sitting at a
Right.
computer
Water
watching water
use.
use.
It's just water speaking.
Now we know what you're doing, Bob.
I'm on a well. I'd love to have town water, but you guys.
No, the other Bob.
Oh, him, okay, yeah, right.
The one that has the little meter.
Now you are creeping.
But the technology is very interesting. It'll log it all. So if someone calls with a high usage, we can go back and look and see. You know, it'll identify the toilet leak. If there was a half a gallon here, every 15 minutes is a half a gallon, which will identify as a toilet leak.
And the consumer facing software, is that started yet, or is that gonna be something that's later than the
That'll
people?
be something with the purchase of,
Okay.
like the four.
These are just the big ones,
With
you
the
know?
3 residential meters that were installed.
Yeah.
Those people will have the availability to go into a program.
Yep.
I think they were gonna call you. Did you get a call from
I
them?
did get a call, and I was supposed to get a call back, I haven't got yet.
Okay, cause we just had the meeting on last Thursday. So you will be able to go in and check it out and see for yourself. It won't have as many of the diagrams and graphs that we have. You won't be able to dial down into all that nitty gritty stuff, but you'll see the basic stuff.
Yeah, it's like make your toilet leak. See it.
See what works, see what happens.
But
If the low flow toilet really is a low flow toilet.
I think there's some great technology, some great tools there for the residents to use to monitor their own usage and question their own bills. And I think it's gonna be a huge time saver on meter reading and billing. And it's gonna cut down on a lot of phone calls with high usage, and it's a huge time saver when it comes down to the closing reads for real estate transactions, because no one has to physically go out to that address anymore. You just get it right from here. And the return read rate is like 98% that they have, so it's gonna get a lot more actual reads as opposed to estimated reads. So that's a big piece of the puzzle. Would be fantastic. And lastly, I have is the MOU between water, sewer, highway, and signed by all the involved departments. So that's in place. And one of the last thing is the new town administrator, Scott, I may mispronounce this, Lambasi, Lambasi.
Lambasi.
Started last week. We had the first department head meeting with Scott today. Great guy. I think he's gonna be a good fit for the town of Kingston. You know,
What's this, is Scott, you said?
yes,
What's the last name?
Lambiasi.
and he
Yeah.
so came from Abington. if I recall correctly. So he's got some work ahead of him, but I think he's gonna be a good fit for Kingston.
Yeah.
So he has some good meeting discussion with today, so. That's all that I have, yeah.
New business, bunch of abatement stuff, which hopefully also need to be resolved by better meters. But
Well, at the last meeting, you had requested that maybe a discussion about developing an abatement policy or procedure. Right now, I copied off the page and the rules and regs, and it's basically a 1-sentence statement, just stating that all appeals for abatement must be made to the clerk of the board of water commissioners in writing or personal appearance within 30 days after issuance of water bills. I also attached state law regarding tenant, landlord, water bill responsibility, breakdown, et cetera. I don't know if you want to be more specific about applying for abatements, what kind of situations are going to be considered. Right now, we're seeing an increase of abatement requests, I think partly because of increasing the water rates.
And increase sewer rates as well.
Right.
So the double-edged sword.
Right, it's the giant bill that people are getting.
Yeah, I think making sure they understand that, abatements will be considered based upon, leaks, but the addressing the leaks with,
Yeah.
from whatever,
Can I make a suggestion that
contractor
maybe
done that.
you or Chris could survey a few towns to see what they're doing? Because I'd like to get the language for that. Because I think we're too permissive right now.
I agree.
And I'd like to come up with a policy that's been tried and proved instead of coming up with a policy that we change in 6 months because of this or that. Let's come up with something that's gonna be the right thing to do now. And then it kicking the can down the road, I don't think it's gonna help.
But I think that we need to be fair to ourselves, is in our rules and regulations, it states that if there's water loss due to negligence of frost or freezing, that you're not eligible for abatement. So if it's plumbing issues that are being overlooked or neglected for an extended period of time.
That's neglect too.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at, so I think it should be a little more scrutiny on the way that abatements are handled.
I absolutely think we need to tighten up whatever we're doing. I mean, I'm not saying that Craig Witt is right or wrong, we identified and repaired a toilet that went undetected for quite some time. Undetected for quite some time.
Well, during the quarter, I mean, that's what things, that's the problem, you don't notice until.
I think we need to sort of put a better definition on when we'll react in a positive manner. I think we should also be looking at if someone gets an abatement in 2026, they shouldn't be able to get another abatement in July of 2026 after the next bill is out. We need to sort of tighten up their responsibilities as well as ours. It's nice to say, we'll reduce it to the lowest possible
A
rate.
statement reiterating that the homeowner is responsible for the upkeep of their plumbing, and that if there is repeated faults there, that abatements may not be considered after.
I think I'd like to have some sense of what other towns do and how it's been working for them. Where's the cutoff? Is it amount of water cut off? Is it amount of weeks or months cut off? I don't know. So, and maybe to be revised once we get to all the new meters and we see what kind of technology is available for people where they can find out for themselves.
Yeah, there's different settings, depends on how you set things up. You get alert of, high flow or pattern flow like that, like I said, if every 10 minutes you're using half a gallon of water for the toilet, it'll send you an alert, or you can see that on the water scope and say, oh, well, I got something going on. The technology's out there, we're just trying to get our hands on it, so I think we need years ago.
So we can find some language from other towns, and also maybe we can discuss next time what submission information we want to make sure that they include. It's only for certain conditions, either whether we outline those specifically or say what it's not.
Maybe further define neglect, so that.
And I think we need to leave ourselves with wiggle room and look at the case by case examples. I don't know if we need to be super explicit, but just make sure we hit the high.
Because if someone's on vacation for a week and you have a leak, it's not neglect, it's bad luck.
I mean, we've had situations where we've had spigots left on outside by grandchildren.
Yeah.
We've had, I think I treat that, I would look at that differently than I would a pipe behind a wall that can't be seen until something catastrophic happens. That's different.
Exactly.
A toilet leaking for most of the time,
You can hear it.
you can hear it. You hear the toilet call for water. So there's all kinds of different instances that can happen, but I think some
That's the part I
probably
think is
more
neglect. I think that's a neglect thing.
It's a lot of let those understand their homes. That first hand experience. True. But we need to be educated too.
Okay, so I'm happy to do some research on surveying, but you do have 3 abatements in front of you.
Yep.
I'll let you guys take over.
Okay, so number 1, Copper Beach.
So this initial request came through the tenant. I advised him that we needed the request through the property owner,
So now we get the question.
so then the property owner came
Okay.
through with the request.
Well, I move that we abate it to the lowest cost.
Second.
All right, so voted, the lowest tier.
Okay, that's like the ruling for lease. Okay, so total gallons at the lowest tier. Correct.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2 is, this would be a second abatement after the first abatement, because it had, the leak in the fix was found in the middle of 2 building systems.
All right, so it seems to be,
So it's essentially the following month,
was this the one we said,
and this,
Come
we
back.
kind of knew this was coming anyway.
yeah,
Yeah, so gallons were part of the last billing
Yeah,
quarter,
yeah.
and gallons are part of the beginning of this.
yeah, I think I remember this
We
one.
abated the first part, so we
Yeah.
should do the second part.
I agree. You have a motion for that?
So moved.
Okay, second,
Okay,
and so voted.
what is this one? Who seconded that? Sorry.
Bud did.
Okay, so.
All
And
right.
then the third one. Yeah, this was another toilet.
It's just, we have proof of, submit to?
No, he did not.
had it
He
filled up,
did
replaced
say-
on November 20th.
Well, he did say his. They had a faulty fill valve on screen, but he doesn't say it was fixed.
Had it filled up, replaced,
We had it replaced
Oh, we
on
did.
November 20th.
yeah,
There's anywhere that.
Oh, gotcha, yep, okay.
yeah. Here's where I'd love to see this, that, you know, receipt from the contractor did that, just to show that there was a fix that would have to
He
happen.
might have done it himself too.
Yeah, if he did it himself.
Why
it
don't
was
you have the
just-
receipt from Lowe's, so.
The
Okay.
fill valve is not, fill valve is not rocket science.
Is that? 'cause
That
when I
could
think
be
about-
something in the future, though, that
Yeah,
you write
I-
into the policy, that
Yeah.
we're gonna request it for repair, that you show proof of repair.
Yeah,
And essentially, since we haven't got a new policy in place, I think we have to abate this one too. But
Yeah.
this is one of the ones that I think in the future, we're less likely to,
If it wasn't fixed and it showed up on the next bill and you
Yeah.
came in to abate that, then we could say,
but it was fixed, but it was a leaking toilet. The father heard the leak.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a neglect piece that I keep coming back to.
all right, so we have a motion to.
My
abate
move
this,
to abate, number 3.
Second.
and so voted. All right. So this private well guy, is he just, somebody just knows us, or was he, does he, do we
No,
need to do
so
anything about that? 'Cause it
I
doesn't
can
seem
speak
like
a
there
little
is
bit
any.
more about this. So this gentleman has more of an issue with sewer, because he put in another secondary request specifically to sewer to explain how they bill for water. So
Yeah.
he would just like to reestablish his private well,
For
I believe
irrigation
for
system?
irrigation, yeah, because he says for irrigation and non-sanitary outdoor use.
So right now, he's grandfathered in using
What's
irrigation
the
system in the past.
non-sanitary household use?
Car wash.
Non-sanitary household use.
Outdoor showers, I don't know.
The problem I have with non-sanitary household use.
No,
Does that mean if you're washing?
Non-sanitary outdoor use.
Outdoor, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't have a problem with the concept. I think we need to make sure that he clearly understands that he has to provide us a clear approval that in fact any connection between the outside well and the town and the house service is completely severed. And that should require, my opinion, is an inspection by someone in the water department.
Yeah.
And once it's installed and once it's operating, there is a complete disconnect between the two systems.
Does the Board of Health require this, since it's gonna be just irrigation, they don't need to inspect
The
it?
Board of Health doesn't
So
require.
it would be.
Well, Board of Health has, I don't know what they have to do, but they're the
Yeah.
ones who keep track of all the wells.
Yeah.
So whether he has to fill out another
Yeah.
form for that, I have no idea.
And
That's
that's,
not
yeah.
our purview.
Yeah,
Um,
I just want to make sure that we make sure that there is that complete separation.
I agree,
Yeah.
that's the concern that I would have, if we could work in collaboration with the Board of Health. That upon prior to implementation of that, we're allowed to inspect, to make sure there's no interconnection.
He's required to provide access so that we can verify that it's been disconnected.
Yeah, I don't wanna go in there and see an emergency valve that if
Yep.
he loses town water, he can switch over to well water. I don't,
Mhm.
that's just, it's a cross connection that.
Yeah.
That I would be concerned about, and not only myself, but I think DEP, and everybody else, because you don't know the quality of that well.
Mhm.
You know, I think it's imperative that that well have no connection with any plumbing that's connected to the
And if
bottom
you, if you resist that, what do our,
shut them off at the street.
okay,
Yeah.
so we'll make sure he knows this is.
Yeah,
this
make
is a
sure he
management thing for the
understands
safety of
if-
the system here.
If in fact inspection is not permitted,
Okay,
we will shut off the building at the street.
make sure it's not in a adversarial tone.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that comes from a public health standpoint,
Yeah.
for a cross connection.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, good. ADU project stuff,
there's, you can talk to this one.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see here. So I received an email from Mr. Colin Darwin in regards to 22 Main Street. There's been identified as some issues there with code violations with other varying departments in town with plumbing, and electrical violations. And Mr. Darwin is looking to clean the place up and get it in compliance with the town's rules and regulations and such. So in an email he has sent, he's looking to establish some ADUs that were outbuildings that were turned into housing and now making into ADUs and condoize some of that. And he was looking to see if he had sufficient water. I responded saying that now that he's brought it to our attention, he has condos that he has sold off. Per our rules and regulations, that I referenced it to him, which section and paragraph it was, that requires any condoization of properties requires an individual service tap at the street with individual curb stop with individual meter for that condo. After that, I haven't heard back. So
I did go by there after I became aware of it. And there's an actual for sale sign up at 22 Main Street.
Mhm.
So,
I saw that just yesterday.
and I believe it says condominium on the for sale sign.
still, something's for sale. There's something
So the people who,
very strange going on here. If you read his letter, he's got like 4 condos in one service.
Yeah.
You know,
so who's buying this, you need to understand they're also buying a liability that has to be addressed. Is that something that has to be addressed beforehand, or I don't know, it's,
I think now that we know that he's got 4 condos, question is, we need to basically notify him that he needs to meet our rules and regulations,
when,
which means read his letter, right?
yeah. Was
Yeah.
it- When was the condos produced? Was this after the fact sometimes? It's not clear.
So this email is specific to the outbuildings.
Yes.
He mentioned in another email to you, Chris, well, he does mention the rear condominiums here, but that's a
Yeah.
separate building. It's the front.
It's the front, the original main house out front that he's created as a condo, then behind that,
Right,
there's
he's
a
got 2
garage.
condos in there, right? Upstairs and downstairs, they're
I believe.
upstairs,
so,
downstairs,
yes.
yeah,
Without getting an additional water service.
Correct.
right. And that's the building, that's not the building involved with all of the code violations. It's the outbuildings behind that initial building.
Yeah.
He
But
just happened.
that sounds like a code violation in itself, you've got 2 condos with one service.
Well, yeah, it's a violation of our rules,
Okay.
yes, but he mentions that in kind of passing, like to explain the property, not realizing.
No,
He just opened himself up.
The noose is tighter.
Yeah, yeah.
So the house that we're referencing, the main house up front, is a serving house for all the utilities to the subservient outbuilding. ADUs, condos, apartments, however.
But the landlords, as opposed to other types, the landlord can do whatever they want as they're renting out the properties, but this is a condo, so people are buying them.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, that's the issue.
Sounds like he built a bunch of condos in a back building and probably did it without getting the proper permits to begin with. He, ran,
Is this the first time they've sold them? Or,
who knows?
because can you
So,
buy it without
like,
having that
so
stuff on the
I
deed?
wanna say like within the last 6 months, we got a call from a realtor for one of the units that sold. And she kept referring to it as like condo A, or unit A. And we don't have that, we just have 22 Main Street.
Yeah.
And I said, there's no condos in this, and she goes, oh no, we just sold one.
So no, okay.
I'm like, well, there's only
Okay.
one service, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Keep your real estate lawyer handy.
So, anywho, I don't know, are we just waiting on him to get back? Does this,
I guess my recommendation would be to see if we can get some information from the building department on whether or not
They
any of
should,
the
they should
units.
do an inspection.
Huh?
I mean, I think the building department's gotta do an inspection.
But that's the building department. Let's see what we can get from another town department on whether or not, in fact, any of the buildings or any of the condos are legal. I think we have an obligation to each and every condo owner as well as,
well, I mean,
The town.
with the sale of the condo, they would have had a smoke inspection, they would have had,
we don't know.
well, I
Yeah,
know.
They would
'cause
have
I-
to have,
it was done.
expect, there's nothing about water.
No, no,
So essentially, I mean, all the other inspections that have to happen before the bank signs off, one of them isn't water.
Essentially, he's paying for their water for that next
well,
facility.
yeah, cause I had to
Yeah.
give them, I said, I have to give you, the bill as it is, it's not separated by condo unit.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, well, what they've been doing is just getting the bill and splitting it between the two units. So I'm like, well, I can't get involved in that because that's not how
Yeah.
it's set up in the system.
That's interesting.
Oof,
Well,
yeah.
I guess wait to hear back and maybe, I don't know, somebody's gotta
I would
mention
I
to the
would ask the
building
building
department that
department.
maybe there's an inspection that's necessary here.
The town did go, I think this past summer, the building and board of health, electrical, plumbing, inspectors, they all went, there was just. There were more violations than there were things that were in compliance, so. There was a lot of going back and forth, another little. Twist in this is the father of a member of the, ZBA.
No,
maybe?
planning board, isn't
But-
it? Is it-
no,
no,
ZBA.
he's
No, I
ZBA.
think-
It
Yeah.
sounds like he's the veterans agent.
Huh?
Hey, if you read the letter, it says, I'm headed to Florida on Friday and come back to Kingston monthly until I complete my job with the Veterans Administration in April.
Veterans Administration, that
Yeah.
doesn't mean he
Okay.
works for us.
Okay.
No, he does not work for the town of Kingston.
It-
So it's just, there's been a lot of other issues with other departments that they're addressing. This just came to full light here with the condo concern, based on the question that he asked about, additional water service to additional rear buildings. So once I directed him to read the full rules and regulations, and I gave him an excerpt of one that pertains directly to his case, I haven't heard back from him. When I sent that response, I CC'd the other departments, Board of Health, Building Department, so that they're all on the same page, because before it was just a sidebar between him and I. The original email was all those other departments, and then he had just a water question that came to this office that I responded to, then I added the other people back in once I noticed.
Yeah, so I think if he approaches again, we need to, if you're either looking for new service, you have to have it deeded. Is it separated in the deed too, these places, that's what we have it tied to, right? You have to have that.
I don't know how it's laid out with the assessors or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think I looked and it was just one building. like they would have the condos.
Yeah. So there's
If
gotta be
you
some
drive
steps.
by, it's a very interesting piece of property.
Yeah.
As always.
I would say that unless he brings the property at 22 Main Street up to the department's rules and regulations relative to condominiums, that we cannot
Yeah.
and should not approve any additional.
Totally agree.
All right, the property taxes, so this is what the parcel we got as the gift, right? Do I just need to sign?
Yeah, this
something?
came from Maureen, the assessor. She just wanted you to sign this.
Just sign this one, or do you have one over there I need to sign?
It doesn't matter. Actually, you know what? Here, why don't you sign this one? This one is the whole bunch. This is the original, she said.
Whole bunch of different class.
Yeah. Okay, so that's, the next one was to just approve the meeting schedule. I just
Yep.
did the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month. Obviously it can change, but I wanted your approval before I put it on the website.
Yep, I got it in my calendar already. Do you have any questions, concerns?
Should it just state,
The usual.
since you're putting it out to somebody, Stacy, should it say that normal would be 4 o'clock? Or just
Oh,
leave it
yes.
at date?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I can add
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. I'll add that.
And
And then, this is the this is the annual report for annual town meeting book. Everything we did in 2025. I will point out to you that we did have a slight decrease in the gallons of water pumped,
Of
3.68%.
course, it wasn't particularly dry summer, so.
No, and I think, Chris and I talked about it, probably with the moratorium still being in place for most of the year, that probably, there wasn't a lot of construction going on, there wasn't a lot of,
Main flushings and
main flushing.
coronations and the like.
And then just updated some project information in there. I don't have to have this for her till the 23rd, so if you want to review it and get back to me, you can do that. So, I'd like to get it to her probably before next Friday, so I want to get back to me on that. You don't need to vote on that. And then the last issue, this was, I had to add this to the agenda last minute. Conifer Green has been having some issues receiving their bills. We can't figure out why. They seem to be every other bill they get. There was a bill that was sent, originally it was sent to the development, received by one of the residents, and they would pass it on to the management company. They would typically get the bill paid immediately. They have a pretty consistent payment history. Then March of 2025, they didn't get their bill. So at that point, in June, they got the June bill with the March balance on it. And they were like, wait, we never got the bill? And they requested at that point that the address be changed directly to the property management company in Raynham. So we went ahead and did that. They didn't get the September bill. They got the December bill. Oh, and I'm sorry, and in June, when they got the bill with the March balance on it, they immediately sent out a check. Check still is uncashed. They've gone down to the collector's office, they've inquired. They don't have any record of payment ever coming in, it's still outstanding. So then they get.
It's not a small payment.
No. So, so I had a long talk with him and I told him, he said, I'm gonna make the payment for the amount of money that the bills are for, but I'd like to at least ask for, I said, you're well within your right to ask, I can't say they're gonna do it, or if they'll do anything, because it's really not on us. Once the bills get processed and mailed out, I have no control over the US Postal Service. So he made it less the interest payment, hoping that based on their prior payment history, you could maybe waive the interest. I didn't tell him to do this. I said he was within his right to.
I
So
think
don't
it
want
is
you to think.
perfectly acceptable to do that.
Yeah.
I think if they've got a history of paying the bills on time, and I believe they didn't get the bill because it's not the first bill they didn't get. So until this thing gets worked out where month or quarterly, they're getting their bill and quarterly they're paying and it's going to the right place, I think it makes sense to.
We know for sure we issued a bill and sent it,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
in September.
And they actually have a copy of a recorded check to send to the town.
Yes.
And you verify their addresses in the
Yeah.
system?
Yep.
I mean, you know,
Okay.
I would think the interest, waiving of the interest would be more of a collector's office than it would be from us.
he actually sent me I didn't put it in here and I apologize, but he actually did send me the printout from his they do Even Exchange, which is a check processing company, and he printed me out the printout
Okay.
from June with the payment, where it was mailed, how much it was, and the date it was mailed. And it just never got me.
Then maybe we vote to recommend to the collector that they evade it?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
actually-
with the documentation that you can.
Yeah.
I already gave it to Ken,
Yeah.
because Ken said he was gonna do some work. I said, maybe we need to go to the post office and talk to the postmaster on this, because he was mailing the bills directly to 26 Evergreen Street. He wasn't even using the lockbox bill company in Boston. And they should have been received. I mean, we get lots of mail to 26 Evergreen Street. My concern was there was a mix up between the boxes changing from the account box to lockbox, but he's like, no, I didn't even use either of those addresses. I used the physical 26.
Yeah, I think this
Evergreen
is a
Street.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
I move that we abate the interest, or recommend the abatement of interest to the
Okay.
collector.
Second.
And so voted. Yeah, they know when the next bill's coming out?
Yes, in fact, I think what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna actually send him a copy of what the bill is going to be.
Yeah.
I won't have the bill, well, no, I will have the bill number, once it processes through, I'm gonna email it over to him.
Yeah. Just to see. what's
Yeah.
happening.
I would wait a little bit just to see if it goes through. The mail the way it should, and then call and double check.
Maybe wait a week.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter, I mean, he
Yeah.
wants to know about it sooner than
Yep.
later, so.
Maybe you could
I can
ask him
send
in
it
the
to
email.
him,
Yeah.
I'm gonna send it to him and say, hey, this is what it
Yeah.
is, please let me know if and when you get.
There you go.
Who made that motion? You did?
I made the motion, but seconded.
All right,
Okay, so,
so if we're all done, then we're entering a motion to enter into executive session.
Motion to adjourn the meeting first.
Do we adjourn first or?
so technically, you enter into executive session from the open session.
Yes,
You
Oh,
have to
you have the
say
open
you're
session
not going
first.
to return.
okay. And we shall now
then you
return
and then
to
you
open
close
session.
Everything in executive session.
And we'll close everything in
But
executive
you do have to take a roll call vote to enter into
Right.
executive session.
session. Bob Casca, aye, Bud Loring,
Aye for discussion only.
Barbara Lanson, aye as well. So we will now enter an executive session.
Just one second.